To look at things that are basically prevailing out there in Ukraine, we would certainly come to notice one thing that is very common in the developments that are basically taking place in that part of the world, that there are basically three parties and three countries involved in this agitation. It's basically a dispute that is basically related to territory, and it's basically about identity of individuals out there. So what we can see is that there are basically two parties involved. It's Ukraine on one side, there is Crimea on another side, and Russia on the other side. So there are basically two parties: the Crimean identity, the Ukrainian identity, and the Russian identity. And there are individual interests, individual identity of people involved in it, and it's basically about their language. It's basically about their identity that basically differentiates between one from the other. Well, there are lots of Russians who are basically a part of Ukrainian society, and there are certain lots of Ukrainians who are in Russia as well, and they are basically a core part of the Russian society as well. There are Crimeans as well in Ukraine. There are Crimeans in Russia as well. So this makes the situation all the more volatile, and the interference of Russia in Ukraine makes the situation all the more intense and acute. There are Russians in Ukraine who say that they are basically Russians, and they identify themselves as Russians rather than Ukrainians, and such events makes the situation all the more tense and volatile. So the Russians, Ukrainians, and Crimeans need to be a little more conscious, a little more proactive, and a little more sensible while they take any sort of measure, while they make any sort of advancement towards diffusing the situation. They should always and would always try and make sure that whatever steps they take forward, it's basically a step towards peace and diffusing and alleviating this volatile situation, rather than inflaming the situation to a point wherein things might go out of control. Well, the economic repercussions of the development that is basically taking place in this part of the world is going to be intense and acute at the same time. Things won't be very comfortable in the coming days because of the political turmoil that is basically in there, and the impact on the economic development is going to be acute at the same time. Lots of talks are going on regarding the economic outcome. Economic contours are basically of the opinion that lots of funds needs to be pumped in order to make sure that things get into a normal situation. Things get rather return to a normal in this part of the world. The economic outcome of any sort of agitation, of any sort of chaos or turmoil, is always going to be really hard on any country or any part of the world, given the current volatile economic scenario that is prevailing all over the world. And it's up to the individuals, it's up to the leaders of that particular part of the country, whether they want to create a situation wherein economic development takes place, or whether they basically want to create a situation wherein such economic development can be basically taken hostile and be taken can be hijacked to the agitation, to the disputes, to the chaos that is basically engulfing that part of the country. As far as investors are concerned, they would really think twice before investing in this part of the country, because of the current volatile situation that is prevailing out there. They will certainly give a second thought when to invest in the stocks of that country, when they should go into buy any stock of that country, when they should have a word with the financial answers of that country, given the real volatile situation that they are in, because of any sort of political fallout that is basically going to take place because of the chaos that is prevailing that country. The impact on economic development is going to be real hard work.